Hey, this is Leif Ganford. I played the cash register thief in The Amazing Spider-Man, and you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast.
Hey, this is Rich McDonald, and I play Commander David Mason on Call of Duty Black Ops 2. You're listening to Everything Geek podcast.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldabar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek Podcast.
Your attention, masters, mistresses. All systems functional for the Everything Geek Podcast.
Hey, it's James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Master Plo Koon in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Everything Geek, the podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek podcast.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast. I'm your host Ruari, and joining me is co-host Al.
Hey everyone.
And also joining us today is a very special guest. We have actor Frank Grillo, who played Brock Rumlow, aka Crossbones, in Captain America the Winter Soldier, Sergeant Leo Barnes in the Purge Anarchy, Alvey Kulina in Kingdom, Frank Campana in Warrior, Diaz in The Grey, Hart Jessup in Guiding Light, and Nick Savrinn in Prison Break. He reprises his roles of Brock Rumlow for Captain America Civil War and Sergeant Leo Barnes for the Purge election year coming up very soon. Frank, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're very well, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the podcast today.
Thank you.
So getting right into my questions for you, Frank, my first question is, how did you decide you wanted to become an actor?
The first time I thought about it was when I went to see the film Rocky. And I thought, wow, what a great job that would be. But I didn't have anybody in my family that was in the arts or was an actor or anything, so it seemed like something that somebody else did. But I remember being a very young boy thinking that would be so much fun.
Yeah, it's a really interesting answer. So moving on to my next question. Brock Rumlow had a lot of screen time in Captain America the Winter Soldier, but you never got to wear the Crossbones suit in that movie. How did it feel returning for Captain America Civil War and getting to wear the suit this time?
It was the suit. I think is the coolest part of Civil War. I love Crossbones, and I love the way they brought him back as far as the look. But unfortunately, he's not in the movie as much as I'd like him to be, and that's the only downside of it. But his impact is felt throughout the movie, which is great. So it's part of the business. You sometimes don't get to be in the movie as much as you want to.
A little bias, I guess, coming in there, seeing as you think Crossbones' costume was the coolest part of the movie.
I love the costume. I think the fans, have really responded well to the look of Crossbones, and so it'll be interesting to see what they do with him.
Yeah, definitely. It is a great costume. I was just joking on your expense because, of course, you play him, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. So, moving on to my next question. The last we see of Brock Rumlow in The Winter Soldier was him badly burned and scarred following his fight with the Falcon. What is Rumlow's objective in Civil War following the last time he fought with an Avenger?
I think, and that's a great question, but I think there's two things. I think revenge. You know, I think he was friends with Captain America, with Steve Rogers, and so I think revenge is part of it. And I think, and the bigger, broader scope is to start something, start a problem between the Avengers that would create, you know, mayhem. And I think that's if there's a plot device in Crossbones, that's it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I think just from the footage we've seen so far, of course, you know, he'll achieve both of those objectives, or at least one of them, but yeah, really interesting. Yeah. So, moving on to my next question. The Winter Soldier was like an origin story for Rumlow in the sense that it was the first time he appeared in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Did you know when you originally signed a contract with Marvel that you would be playing Rumlow in more than one movie?
Yes, I did. I mean, I signed on for 6 movies, and you know, when we sat down with Marvel in the beginning, it was an origin story. Was Winter Soldier, and then you know, we were expecting to see Brock Rumlow and you know, see more of him. The way it was presented, but I think after Cap 2 was so successful and the Russo brothers took over, I think Civil War became something that really came on strong, and they wanted to develop that story. So you know, that's again, Marvel doesn't necessarily stick to the comic mythology that was in the comic books, but they do use the characters in different ways. So.
And if you do have the opportunity, would you, as you mentioned, you had 6 movies on your original contract. If you were given the opportunity, would you play Crossbones 4 more times?
Oh yeah, you know, 2 of those contracts are for standalone movies. So you really don't know what they have in mind and they have in store for you. Nobody does, except probably Downey. So you know, I'm looking forward to definitely more Crossbones.
Yeah, that's really great. We'll look forward to seeing more of him.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, my final question for you, Frank. Aside from Captain America Civil War, which obviously comes out this week and we're very excited about, do you have any other upcoming acting roles or other projects you would like to talk about? I know the Purge election year and the second half of the current season of Kingdom are coming up very soon. Would you like to talk about those?
Yeah, I mean, Purge election year comes out 4th of July weekend, which is a huge, huge weekend for a film that started out as a low-budget movie. I think Purge Anarchy was so successful, and the the concept of the Purge has caught on so much that Universal was willing to give us such a big movie weekend. So. We're excited about the movie, which I think is great, better than Purge Anarchy even, and the weekend that we have. So it should be great things.
And how about the second half of the current season of Kingdom, which you played the lead role in?
Yeah.
You're excited about that too?
I'm really excited about that as well. DirecTV has been taken over by AT&T, so they're putting a lot of money into the marketing of the show again. And I think the 3rd season is by far the best season. And I think people who watch the show are really going to love what we have coming. And I think people who haven't seen the show will really appreciate the show. You know, season 3 could be a standalone season. So it's just an exciting time because everything seems to be happening at once.
Yeah, definitely. And we're looking forward to the next Purge film and the next season of Kingdom as well. So thank you very much, Frank, for answering all of my questions. I'll let my co-host, I'll ask his now. He has a couple for you.
Great.
Hey, Frank. Thanks for joining us. what are the most difficult scenes you've ever shot in your acting career? What made them so challenging?
It's funny, but the most difficult stuff is the quietest stuff. I did a movie with Hilary Swank where we played the parents of a child that died tragically of malaria, and for me, those moments, those emotional moments that a mother and father experience the loss of a child, it seems like that are the most difficult and the ones that keep me up at night. Everything else that I do is kind of easy because it's physical and I'm physical. So, it's always the stuff that seems easy is hard, and the stuff that seems hard is easy.
Definitely, it definitely will be difficult. I guess my final question is regarding The Purge. How were you originally cast in that movie, and can you relate to the characters or the concept to it?
Oh, I can. I relate to the character in the sense that I understand, his dilemma and his moral compass being, ambiguous because of the loss of a child. And I think the purge is an idea that we have to be careful of because, especially here in the United States, listening to Trump and some of the other candidates, if they had their way, it's not too far away from what we're talking about in the purge. So I think that's why people, love the movie so much. I think the third one's even better, so hopefully you like that one.
I think I caught the trailer, so I'm just super stoked to watch it. Definitely,
Great.
Definitely on the pull list.
Thanks, brother.
So that's all of our questions for you today, Frank. It's been a pleasure talking to you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Hopefully we can talk to you again at some point.
Oh, I'd love to.
So I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks again for joining us. Take care. Bye.
Okay.
Thanks, Frank. Bye.
Bye now.
So, Captain America Civil War will be released on May 6th. The second half of Kingdom Season 2 begins airing on June 1st. And The Purge Election Year will be released on July 4th. So, time to wrap up. Make sure to check out our podcast links. Check out our website, website.everythinggeekpodcast.com/EGP. Check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/everythinggeekp. Check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/official everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our Mixcloud profile, www.mixcloud.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Email us at the below email, everythinggeekpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our companion podcast, Everything Geek Comiccast, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekcomiccast. Make sure to check out the host's YouTube channels. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/septusdestroyers. Check out Al's Twitter, twitter.com/mygurma. Check out Frank Grillo on Twitter, twitter.com/frankgrillo. And check out Channel 138 we broadcast live from, www.channel138.com. So geeks out, everyone.
Geeks out.